I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. Mr. Johnson, you stated you had massive piles of rock and gravel and material. I'm not talking about the steel. I'm talking about massive piles. Describe what you mean by that.
Thank you for the question, Chairman Higgins. In a portion of the area where the border wall was constructed on our ranch was through a slightly mountainous area, and so the mountains had to be taken down to certain grades to accommodate the wall. And in doing so, all that rock was taken and piled up. But rather than wasting that rock, they were going to crush that rock into using on the all-weather access roads that were to be constructed.
Understood. It was byproduct of the construction effort. Give us an idea, when you say massive, the size it was suburban or the size of this committee hearing room?
Probably 2 to 3 times the size of this room, sir.
Okay, there you go. So America can get an idea. It's on a man's private land, just left behind by the government. He's not going to clear that with a shovel and a wheelbarrow.
No, sir, Mr. Higgins, if I may, that is on Bureau of Land Management land, but we own the lease of that land.
Oh, I understand.
It's not private property.
But that, certainly it's not usable.
Correct.
Right. And are you being compensated at all for the materials left behind, including the steel and anything else?
No, sir, not compensated. And like I mentioned in my testimony, we've never been reached out to by any government entity regarding this project. It's always been us reaching out to them.
Have you invoiced the government?
No, sir.
I suggest that you do. I'd like to see us discuss that in appropriations. Tell us about the steel, Mr. Johnson. When you say that you described it in your opening statement, but tell us how much steel has been left behind.
I haven't gone out and actually counted it just because of the vast quantities of it, but in the pictures that were up here a minute ago was the section that is on our property, and it's probably more than enough panels to fill that 3/4 mile gap. And then the storage yard on our neighbor's ranch has probably 3 to 4 times that in panels.
And you're by your observations, the steel, how would you grade the quality of that steel?
This grade A top American-made steel, when it was brought in for fabrication, it was brand new, hot off the presses.
You were a border agent at one time, sir?
Yes, sir.
You recall the original wall construction, those sections made from surplus DOD panels from the Vietnam era?
Yes, sir.
So relative to that, what my colleagues have said, old technology and physical barriers as a concept for security shouldn't be quantified as old or new. It's a moving target. Will you describe this steel that's left behind as modern steel and robust steel as compared to the old steel that you witnessed and encountered when you were a border agent, the original wall?
There's truly no comparison. Those bollard wall square tubings are 1/2 inch thick with 2 joints of rebar and filled with concrete. There's absolutely.
Are you familiar with the concrete that we had anticipated filling those bollards with?
In what sense, sir?
The kind of sense I can't even explain to you right now. So you've traveled a long way, and I want to acknowledge, Mr. Johnson, that you've dedicated a great deal of personal time to get here. We thank you for that. I would like to close by just asking Mr. Vitiello, you had 3 significant leadership roles in the Department of Homeland Security. How do you think things are going down there?
We're in the middle of the worst border crisis than we've ever seen. This administration chose to make incredibly bad choices about the policies that exist at our border today versus what they inherited. And just as an example, illegal migration along the southwest border when this president took over was at 45-year lows. Now we're seeing the worst surge ever. And even at half as what it was before Title 42 ended, it overwhelms the system that exists.